example, right? So with this example, what we're going to do is we need to prepare the SARS income tax account and the income tax account, right? So in the previous video, I explained what we are doing. So if you are confused, go back to my introduction to income tax and you'll understand what exactly we are doing in this activity, right? So let's go and see. So they tell us that the following opening balances, right? So my balances at the beginning of the year, which is the 1st of July 2020. We have SARS income tax with a balance of 4,800 and it's a credit balance. So obviously if I am preparing my T accounts, I'm going to go to my SARS income tax, right, account, and I'm going to write 4,800 as my opening balance, right? And because they said it's a credit balance, I put it on the credit side. Now let's read the transactions and the adjustments. So the amount owing to SARS at the end of the previous year was paid on the 30th of July 2020, right? So remember I told you guys that sometimes you can owe SARS or sometimes SARS owes you. So in this case, last year, what happened? Last year we were owing SARS how much? This 4,800. That's why it's our opening balance in our SARS income tax account. That's how much we owed SARS last year. So now we are in the new year, right? And what did they say? They say that the amount that we are owing to SARS was now paid in the new year. So if something is paid, you need to take it out of the account, right? Because we no longer owe it. Remember, if it's sitting here as an opening balance, it means that we owe SARS 4.8, right? But now we no longer owe SARS. So if we no longer owe them, then we need to take them out of the account. So now we need to take that 4,800 to the other side to cancel it out of this account, right? Then obviously because we paid, the contra account is bank, right? So that's how we deal with whatever that we were owing to SARS last year. We paid off in the new year, so we need to go cancel it by writing it on the opposite side, right? Okay. Then the next thing was that the first provisional tax payment of 60,000 were paid on the 31st of December 2020. So now in this year that I'm dealing with, my first provisional payment, remember my previous video I told you that there'll be 2 provisional payments, and these provisional payments are estimates of what we think SARS is going to charge us, right? So we're going to pay whatever we think. Remember, we only know at the end of the year that SARS charges us this amount of money. So during the year we don't know, so we just make estimates and we pay, right? Okay, so now the first provisional payment is 60,000, right? So obviously under my SARS income tax, I'm going to go and write the 60,000, right? And what did I use to pay? I used bank to pay, right? So remember that this side is a plus side, this side is a minus side. So whenever my SARS income tax, the amount that I owe to SARS is decreasing, I write on the minus side, which is the debit side. So because you are paying 60,000 over to SARS, you are decreasing the amount of tax that you owe. So that's why we put it on the debit side. So that's my first provisional payment, and the contra account is bank because this was a payment. Remember, we make payments from our bank account. Then the second provisional tax payment of 65,000 was made on the 30th of June 2021. So our second provisional payment is also going to come this side as 65,000, and the contra account is bank because it was a payment, right? Then those are our 2 provisional payments. Then the audited financial statements showed a taxable profit of 475,200. The income tax rate is 28%. So remember I said in my previous video that whenever we only know at the end of the year, right, how much tax SARS is going to charge us. So SARS only lets us know at the end of the year, and they calculate that tax that we need to pay them based on the profits that we've made during the year. So the profits that we've made during the year is 475,200. So now SARS says that we need to pay them 28% of the profits. That's the tax rate, 28% of the profits that we have made. So my income tax amount is going to be 475,200 times 28%. That's going to be my income tax, right? So let's punch that into our calculator. It's going to be 475,200 times 28%. That gives me 133,056. So now this is the amount of tax that SARS says I owe them, right? So what are the two accounts that will be affected by income tax? So firstly, it's your income tax, because this is your income tax, and then the contra account is SARS income tax. Those are the two accounts that are affected. So under my income tax, remember income tax, what type of account is it? It's an expense account. So it increases on the debit side and decreases on the credit side. So I have an expense, right, which I'm paying off, so it's going to be increasing on the debit side. So I write 133,056. Then my contra account is SARS income tax, right? Then remember, if your SARS income tax was debited if your income tax was debited by SARS income tax, right? Remember, for every debit there's a credit. It means I must go to SARS income tax and write on the credit side of SARS income tax. So I'm going to go and write income tax on the credit side of SARS income tax 133,056. Then what happens is that income tax is closed off to your appropriation account. Appropriation 133,056. Then 133,056. Then 133,056. So we're closing off this account. Then now we close off the SARS income tax account. So we need to go and find out which side is the bigger side. So in the test, what you do is you add both sides, your debit side and your credit side, and you figure out, or you see which side is bigger. So in this case, the bigger side is the credit side, which is 133,056 plus the 4,800 to give me 137,856, right? 137,856. Then obviously I will have a balancing figure this side, right? So I minus everything on this side, 4.8 minus the 60,000 minus the 65,000, that will give me 8,056. Then remember, when you're closing off an account, you don't stop there, you bring that balance over to this side as 8,056, right? So now remember, I told you that we were going to look at how we determine if, okay, so let's look at who owes who, right? That's the most important thing. We need to see if we've overpaid SARS or if we have underpaid SARS, right? So let's go and see who owes who. So we can see that our provisional payments was 60,000 plus, okay, before I even get there, let's do this, right? So I'm going to teach you according to the SARS income tax T account for you to be able to see who owes who. So whenever you get A, can you see here, what did we get? We got a credit balance. So my closing balance was on the credit side. Can you see my closing balance? My final closing balance is on the credit side. So whenever your credit balance is on the credit side, this means that so let's do that. Whenever it's on the credit side of the SARS income tax account, it means that you owe SARS. But let's say this closing balance was not on the credit side, but it was on the debit side. So whenever it's on the debit side, it means that SARS owes you, right? So in this case, we can see that our closing balance is on the credit side, so it means that you owe SARS, so the business owes SARS. But then we can also think about it logically, right? We can see that how much did we pay? We paid 60,000 and the 65,000, right? That's how much we paid over to SARS. Those were our two provisional payments during the year. So in total, how much did we pay? We paid 125,000 rands to SARS. But how much is SARS actually charging us for income tax? They charged us an amount of 133,056. So we can see that this is the amount that we were supposed to pay, but we've only paid 125,000. So it makes sense that we owe SARS because we've underpaid. We're supposed to pay 133,056,000, but we've only paid 125,000. So the difference between those two numbers would be the 8,056 that you owe to SARS. So that is how we find who owes who when we are doing our SARS income tax calculations. Then remember, whenever you owe SARS. So SARS income tax can either be a liability or it can be a receivable. So now this helps you understand where to go and put your SARS income tax, because sometimes in tests you can see sometimes your SARS income tax is under your liabilities, but sometimes it's under your assets as a receivable, right? So now if you owe SARS, remember when you owe something, it's a liability, right? So it means that SARS income tax would be a liability, so it would be under your liabilities. But when SARS owes you, remember when someone owes you, that's a receivable, right? So it will be a receivable. That means that it will be under my what? Under my assets in my balance sheet. So SARS income tax can either be under your liabilities, and it will be under your liabilities if you owe SARS, or it can be under your receivables as an asset, or under your receivables, yes, as an, it can be under your assets as a receivable. And this is when SARS owes you.